Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Nice little 6-3 day on Friday night here in the NBA playoffs as we roll along, up about 2.5 units on the day. So we will take it. Look to continue to build on it on Saturday with these videos. I've got 5 picks here for you in this episode. Also going to be rolling with that live stream tomorrow, Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So about an hour before tip of that OKC and Dallas game that tips off in Texas. And then obviously we also have that Cavs and Boston game. That's the late game on Saturday. Going to be looking at some bets for that as well in that live stream. I got 5 in here, like I said, so let's jump right into it. Why wouldn't we go back to Daniel Gafford, honestly? And I'm sticking with the points here and leaving the rebounds out of it this time. Going over 11.5 points, minus 104 on FanDuel. If you read what he said after the game, man seems pretty confident that his hand injury, it's not great, but he's had worse and that he's able to play through it, is his direct quote after the Thursday game, where he did get a little bit of a dislocated pinky, but like, do you really need your pinky to dunk a basketball? Is Daniel Gafford scoring in any other fashion than dunking a basketball? As someone who has never dunked a basketball, but touched rim with a tennis ball, if that counts, I would say that you probably don't need your pinky that badly. So if he's going to continue to take the amount of shots that he has against his team, he's just absolutely dominated Chet Holmgren. We talked about it in the last game where we took him over, I believe it was 18.5 PR, climbed over that with about 20-21 in that game. Not worried about the rebounds. I just love the field goal attempts and the usage rate for him when he plays against Chet Holmgren. The 6 shots he took last game were far and away the fewest that he's taken since he's come to Dallas and played against OKC, which has now been 5 times, actually, I should say, over in all 5. That is what that should say there, averaging 24.2, right? Now, he's at about 17 points a game. The 11.3 field goal attempts is what you love, but I also love the 6.5 free throw attempts. And that is something that OKC will do a lot. They will foul you. They will let you get to the line. And the way that he's been just absolutely rocking the rim against Chet Holmgren, whether Chet goes up to block him or not, Daniel Gafford will dunk him through the rim and does not seem to care. So this is a massive matchup that he's continued to exploit since he got to Dallas, a competent team that can get him the ball. Obviously, Luka loves a solid rim runner, and he played 28 minutes last game. I think that would have gone up if he hadn't had to leave with that finger injury. He's getting close to the point where it's like he's been splitting minutes with Derek Lively somewhat evenly in the playoffs. But at the beginning of the playoffs, he was hurt. Those minutes have ramped up. He's now overtaken Lively entirely, and he was on the verge of playing 31, 32 minutes last game, but he had to miss some time when he dislocated that pinky, still came back, was a champ, got over for us in that last game. So we're going to go right back to him. If he's going to keep taking anywhere from 8 to 10 field goals like he has against this squad, as well as the free throws. The only reason he took 6 shots last game is because he got fouled so often. He went to the free throw line 9 times. So you still put him at about 10 to 11 field goal attempts in this last game. Just a couple of them he got fouled, got some easy buckets. So we're going right back to Daniel Gafford to keep bullying Chet Holmgren and get those 12 points for us to get over in this one. Speaking of Chet Holmgren, don't like his rebounds in this game either. So we're going to take one of these head-to-head bets that you can find on DraftKings. Head over to the head-to-head player tab inside the game on DraftKings, and you can find this bet pretty easily. So we're going to take Luka to out-rebound Chet by 2 in this one. So it's minus 1.5 for Luka to do that, and then minus 105 are the odds on your return if he does get at least 2 more rebounds than Chet Holmgren in this game. I'm really focused on Chet here because Luka's success as a rebounder can be just summed up in basically 2 points. One, he's always playing a low usage player like Aaron Wiggins or Lou Dort or Kason Wallace. Who's ever standing in the corner is essentially who Luka Doncic is guarding, because 1, they don't want to work him on defense. They want him to have all of his energy on offense. And 2, like, he's pretty good down there. Honestly, they all sort of defer to him. They like him to get the rebound so he can then just run the break, right? He had 10 last game. I think 10 is good to beat Chet because his rebound prop is at 8.5. I like him to go under that as well. And the real reason is it's not the rebound chances. Dude gets rebound chances. But look at game 2. This is what that he had 22 rebound chances and 6 boards. That's an awful rebound chance success rate. On the season, he only had a 52% rebound chance success rate, meaning when he has the opportunity to get the board, he only gets the board 52% of the time. What does that mean? Well, if you look at a guy like Jokic or any of the top rebounders in the league, they're going to be anywhere from 60 to 70%. Really, like 60 to 67% is what you're going to see the top rebounders in the league getting. And Chet's not one of the top rebounders in the league at this point. He can get over a bunch of dudes, but if he's getting boxed out because of that thin frame, then you're going to keep seeing that, right? He's gone under the 8.5 boards here. That is his prop in 3 of 4. Luka's at 9.5, so just one more. But I do like him to go over more than I like Chet to go over. I preferred the under for that bet for Chet, right? So that's kind of where this is based on. And a lot of it is also matchup stuff where, like I told you, Gafford absolutely dominating this man in terms of the paint and the points and even the rebounds to a degree. But also, this whole team now has become really, really good at limiting centers, rebounds, 6th best since Gafford got to the team. That's not a coincidence. That is a direct correlation to Gafford being that good of a defender down low. And you put Gafford on a competent team, take him off the Wizards, put him on the competent Mavs, and Bob's your uncle, right? It's a much better play for him. So with the matchup that we have, with the propensity for Luka to get easy boards because of where he's playing on defense, I like him to get 2 more than Chet Holmgren in this game. Third bet here for this Thunder and Mavs series, going to Aaron Wiggins. Shout out my guy, Dom D, Crank Zone in the Discord. He's been telling me to take Wiggins for a while, and here's why I'm ready to take Wiggins. And I kind of wish you would have told me this, Dom. I wish you would have also told me when you were telling me to take Wiggins points and such, that he's going to be continuing to get these minutes in the second half because they just don't trust Giddey. And we might be able to just say deuces to Josh Giddey's playing time overall at this point. He played about 10.5 minutes in this last game. His prop is now at about 10.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Josh Giddey, which it was at it's been as high as 28.5 at times this season. But even in the playoffs, even as his minutes diminished here and there, he was still good for all these points and rebounds and assists, right? So the fact that it's down that far tells you the 2.5 minutes that he played in the second half of this last game here, like I said, 2.5 minutes that he played in the second half of game 2, right? And Wiggins started that half as well. That seems to be indicative of what's going to happen. I don't know how you start him anymore if you don't feel comfortable playing him as Coach Mark Daigneault for this Thunder squad. -20 was Josh Giddey's plus minus in this last game. In the other game, also really piss poor in game 1. Not a very good plus minus. That's why you saw Wiggins get the majority of the time in the second half of this last game. So if you put his minutes at, you cap him at 15. I don't know if he's even going to get that anymore. He might be playing himself out of the lineup, in part because he's not doing much. And if he's not going to hit threes, then there's just really no use for him anymore. Just not a good matchup on defense either for this squad. That's why Wiggins' minutes in this series have jumped up to 21.5, 20.8 in the first game, 22 and change in the second one. So right at about 21, 22 minutes per game now for Wiggins. Maybe he doesn't start. Maybe they still prefer bringing him off the bench, but that's still going to mean more minutes for him and Giddey not as many minutes. If you look at Wiggins in the games this season where he's played between 18 and 22 minutes. So I think 22 minutes is a fair ceiling, but you could probably bump it up to 25, whatever you want to do. Still, with these filters on, when you're looking at his stats and his props this year, he's gone over an 18 of 22 games where this is the amount of time he gets. He's looking at 9 points per game in those 22 games as well, and he's taken about 6 shots. So if he's going to take 6 shots and look, he's getting about 2 free throws per game. So if you give him the 2 free throws plus he makes at least 1 3, we're good to go here. And he didn't even have that good of a shooting game last game, 1 for 3 from deep, but he's standing in the corner. That's where he shoots the most from. And Dallas is weakest against corner threes. They, similar to this Thunder team, will pressure the ball a little bit up top and have sort of waves of defense. But those defenders are mostly standing in the middle of the paint there because it's really about stopping Shea and SGA, right? And that's where he's playing the most, which is why he's had so much success diming up and getting assists into the corner to guys like Aaron Wiggins. So there should be enough usage between 6 to 7 shots for Wiggins in this game. Should be good enough to get us 2 to 3 made buckets and 7 points. So we're going to take Wiggins over 6.5 here in honor of my boy Dom D. Quick reminder, props.cash got that partnership still running. So if you want LYB, if you want 25% off, I should say, of your first month using props.cash, get an account now. You can get it for the last month of this NBA season for 25% off with the code LYB24. And if you like it, obviously you can stick around and we can figure that stuff out together. But I'm using this every day on the live stream, which I will be doing tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, an hour before tip of that Mavs and Thunder game. Going to be using this basically as my home base to find the best bet. So highly recommend it if you're interested. LYB24 is the code. Also, a quick reminder about the Discord. It's live. Link in the description of the video. Free for now. Got a lot of homies in there at this point. Some really good cappers and bettors that are dropping their knowledge in the discussions of these different channels. So if you do want to jump in there, man, highly recommend it. Really good time and some really good insights that we're giving. Plus, you get these bets a little bit early to make sure you get the same lines that I'm giving out as I do in this video. Let's press on to this Celtics and Cavs game. Is anybody really worried about the Celtics? I know those Boston fans are, but they're not exactly rational people. Much love to you guys. I don't feel any fear and I don't care about the Celtics at all. In fact, I would love for them to lose so that maybe the Knicks had a shot if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals against this Cavs squad. But I'm not worried about the Celtics. I still think they handle business here. And my first bet for them is for these two dudes to come out strong. The two stars, Tatum and Brown. Tatum 6+ points in the first quarter. Brown 5+ points in the first quarter. That gets you even money on DraftKings if you take those lines together. They're alt first quarter lines. Scroll all the way to the bottom of DraftKings on the points tab there inside this Boston game against the Cavs, and you'll see this bet pretty easily. But you got to scroll all the way down in the points for player points there. Brown has gotten 5+ points in all 7 of these playoff games in the first quarter. Tatum has gotten 6+ in 4 of 7 of these playoff games. But what does seem to be the case now moving forward is Tatum's playing all 12 minutes of the first quarter. Jaylen Brown plays about 9 to 10 minutes in that first quarter. That's why I'm not quite as scared of Tatum's hit rate not being as good as Jaylen Brown's. And I'm not worried about Jaylen Brown not playing 12 minutes like Tatum because of his hit rate, right? So I still like it for both these guys in this series. This hit for us last game when we put it up as well was a little bit juicier. Last game was about plus 170 after they just did it in this game 2. Probably not as why you get a little bit worse juice, but I think even money is still good enough to take this bet. On the season, Brown is at 5+ points in the first quarter 83% of the time, right? I believe it's about 65 out of 82 now games that he's done that. So about 83%. Tatum, like I said, the supporting evidence for Tatum to get this and the projection for him is 12 minutes. If he's going to get those 12 minutes and you know that he's going to play 2 to 3 without Jaylen Brown, where he's the clear-cut number 1 as opposed to 1A, 1B, then yeah, we're going to take him to get that. And Jaylen's just going to keep being a bully, man. Like he's not, there's no good matchups for him. We've seen Isaac Okoro on him. We've seen Strus on Tatum. Both those dudes are not good matchups, obviously, for Brown and Tatum. So we're going to keep going with them to get their points here. Some alt stuff, though, in the first quarter of Game 3. Final play for this Boston and Cavs game. Boston, first half, juggernaut, still running with it. -4.5 for them, -110 on DraftKings. I think we're getting some good value here, y'all. This is a really good moment in time to buy these the Celtics. -4.5 after a -7 or 8.5 prop in the first half spread, rather, in the first game of this series. And then after the game 2, it was the same concept. It was actually up to about 9.5, I believe, on the first half prop there for their spread. Well, now we're at 4.5, and that is wonderful. I don't care that they're in Cleveland. We just saw this story play out in the last game, or last series rather, versus Miami, where they won game 1 handily up at the half. Game 2, not as much, right? They lost that game to Miami. They were down at the half. Same thing that happened in the Cavs series. Now we're back in Cleveland, and I still just believe in this Boston team enough to go, this is what we've seen. Because one game is going to change that spread and cut it in half. No, that's too much value for us. I mean, in playoffs, they're still +13 in the first half of these games. In the regular season, they're still +7.5, almost 8, basically, in the first half of the regular season games as well. So there's too much of a sample size to tell us that they are 7 to 8 points better than everybody they play in the first half of these games. And this overreaction to what happened in game 2 is just a perfect moment in time to get them at -4.5 in a situation that they've just dominated all season. They're an amazing first half team. I don't really need to get into it more than that. I like them in the first quarter as well. Like, this doesn't matter that to me that it's in Cleveland. I think that the talent disparity is just going to keep playing through. Donnie Mitchell, there's got to be more of an answer for him. He might still do his thing, but as long as you keep the others a little bit more quiet, and Cleveland shot crazy from 3 in this last game, way over their Spurs, if you will, especially for Max Strus and Darius Garland, who were absolutely piss poor for most of the games of these playoffs from deep prior to this last game. So I'm taking game 2 as the anomaly here. I still wouldn't be upset if anybody wanted to take Boston to win in 5 at this point and just win 3 straight. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a better number. I mean, I know it's going to be a better number than it was before they lost game 2. So let's just buy everything Boston here. I'm still saying that they have so many advantages all over the floor. This is a good look here at -4.5 in the first half for their spread. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Eastern there on the East Coast, so that you can go ahead and get into that live stream. Bring your bets. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to look at. I take you all through it, so hopefully we can all learn a little bit together. And you guys can see the tools that I'm using to find the stuff that I get to make these bets and be up about 40 units on the season, right? Also have the props.cash code if you want it. It's LYB24. That is the tool we'll be using tomorrow during the live stream. So let's keep it rolling here. Appreciate you all following along. Subscribe to the page if you would. Help support the channel. Until I see you next. Happy betting.